Put that coffee down. Coffee's for closers only.
Coffee's for closers only. How many times do we have to say it? How are you tonight? I don't know if you can hear me. I've done some things with the microphone. I think longtime viewers will know. I don't know if I like it. I don't know, like I'm going to put my hands up by the camera. Like my microphone used to be here, right around there. And now I put it on the other side. Why? Well, anticipation of getting another microphone. And like I work at my desk. This is my desk. And during the day, I have to move the microphone like 15 times. So like when I'm working, it's out of my way. This way, it's on a side where I don't even walk through. So it should be better. I don't know if you can hear me. I don't know what you think. Like when I look up into the camera, like straight into the camera, I should be speaking right into the microphone. Like it's right there. That seems like the best place for it. I was screaming like for a couple episodes into the microphone, causing some nasty feedback issues. I think that's resolved. I don't know. All right, we're 2 minutes in, and you're probably like, I've thought about this today. 2 minutes in, and you're probably like, well, what did I just stumble on? Like, why am I watching this? You're probably watching for Jerry Lee Lewis news. Well, you've found the live stream for Deerwood Realty, and I'm John Schenk, and I'm the founder and managing broker of Deerwood Realty in St. Louis, Missouri. We're a small real estate firm, and so small it's just me at this point. But I do commentary on the St. Louis real estate market, actually most of the real estate market across the United States. We talk about popular culture. We talk about things that help buyers buy homes, sellers sell theirs. Yeah. And why not be on YouTube, right? Why not be on YouTube? It seems like the thing to do. So we stream. When do we stream? Normally at night. We used to stream at 9 a.m., but nobody was around. They weren't awake. Now people are awake and can't get to sleep. I'm competing with, I don't know who's on Fox News anymore. I don't know who's on MSNBC. I don't know who I'm competing with, really, in that space. If you're watching me over Fox or MSNBC, well, or CNBC, God bless you, because I just don't even. The fact that you can now, I mean, look, YouTube gets hit all the time for silly censorship, messing around with the algorithm and screwing things up. I mean, but man, is there an easier platform out there to get your message out? I mean, I don't know of one. If I would know of one, I would use it. So, are we starting the show off slowly today? Well, yes, a little bit. I've had one of those days where I've been doing tasks over and over again. Not really a lot of thought needs to go into them. They just need to get done. So I've been doing them, and it doesn't leave a lot of time for reflection. And it's getting late for me. It's 9 o'clock Central Time. I've had trouble staying up past 8 for a couple shows here. Now we're at 9. Again, dicey tonight. We did the introduction. You know who I am now. We're going to get into what we're going to have on the show tonight. Well, we're going to talk about Jerry Lee Lewis. That's going to be the first thing we talk about. We're going to talk about interest rates. Everyone loves to talk about interest rates. We've got some fantastic tweets. We've got all kinds of things. Some stories about the housing market crashing. I've always said it depends on, like, what is your definition of a crash? Some people are saying 50% decrease in prices. Some people are saying 20% decrease in pricing. I did happen to talk to an agent friend of mine, a new friend. He had some thoughts. We'll go over them. But yeah, stay to the end. I used to have a word of the day. I used to put it at the end. That was my hook. I'm kind of not interested in that anymore. I don't think that worked. You either like the show or you don't. You like where the microphone is or you don't. I'm confused about it. You know, oddly enough, I don't like change. Maybe you figured that out. I had the same, I might have the same background the entire time I do the show. But I also, I don't know. I just don't like to change. Now I've said I'm going back to the camera. I've said I was going to fix this hole right here and that hole up there. Where is it? Right there. Yeah. I haven't gotten around to it yet. It's going to be a picture. I don't know what the picture is going to be of. I don't have any money for like some artwork. So I don't know. Let me. It's too weak. I don't know. How many times do you see somebody yawn on their live stream or scratch their nose? All you do here. Shall we get going into the list of grievances for the day? Let's do that. So, as you know, this is our first topic. As you know, I was in the Balkans over 20 days. Now, this doesn't make me an expert on the Balkans by any stretch of the imagination, but I did see things. And one of the things that really has been tearing at my heart is there's two business stories. One, a fine woman and her husband wanted to open a restaurant and hotel in Bosnia, in the northern part of Bosnia. That's as far as I'm going to go. And it's taken them 11 years. Banking, there's no 30-year mortgage. You don't have that. They got the restaurant open, and it's a fine restaurant, okay? But by the time they got the restaurant open and bringing in some cash, they couldn't finish the hotel. 11 years they've spent working on this project. You know, if they did get the hotel up and running, they could hire some people. There could be employment. Maybe 10 minutes from where I was staying in Bosnia, there was a water factory, drinking water facility, brand new. It's been there for 5 years. They can't get a permit to turn it on from the government. 5 years investment just sitting there. How many jobs could that support? Crony capitalism in a formerly socialist country? I get really uncomfortable with the realities of world business. I'm very uncomfortable with the way the United States is set up right now. If you look at the meat packing industry, for instance, I saw a video today where apparently like the top 4 meat packing companies control like 80% of the meat packing in the United States. Why is that allowed to happen? We have all this, we all have all these restrictions. We have all these things. And what I'm seeing in the United States is more, it's definitely not following the law. It's like crony capitalism. And you say, John, what difference does it make? Look, you still have more money here in the United States and you still have the chance to make more money here than you do anywhere else. Is my quality of life better though? I mean, the food that we had in Europe was just outstanding. I mean, it had flavor. It was wonderful. And I come back here and I mean, I had a Coke over there. I come over here and my Coke doesn't even taste very good. They're not using the same ingredients. They're not using the same preservatives. Is it better? I mean, I've always been told that the regulations in Europe are just, a disaster, just a minefield. Well, Elon Musk goes and builds a factory in Germany. But, it's like, do you want, like in Bosnia, do you want businesses to survive and thrive? Do you want business investment or do you not? I don't like the idea of like telling people that they could start a business and then, it takes 5 years to get a permit to open the business. When there's people that could be working in these factories and this could be working in these places, I just find it to be wrong. And in the United States, I just feel like, and I've talked to people and, am I an entrepreneur? Sure. Whatever. I've started a few businesses and some have gone well and some have gone poorly, but, it's like I was talking to one of my, I'd say friends at the time, and he was in real estate and he said, John, there's no way that these new people can enter the business because they have no access to financing. None. The banks just have no interest in any sort of risk. And I don't blame the banks. I do blame the regulators. But it's amazingly difficult and amazingly hard to start any business, keep it running, especially self-financing it in the United States right now. Now we get stories all the time of people that have been successful, But anyway, my point being, don't believe everything you hear about other countries. Like until you've been there and see it for yourself, you'd be surprised. There was a lot more freedom on things in Bosnia than you would ever believe. I mean, I was shocked by it, but at the same time, there's this government regulation on business that's just not great. I did feel, I honestly, in all of Europe, even though we were traveling through borders and they had, border guards, and I honestly felt freer in all three of the places that I went than I do in the United States right now. And I'm not being, I hope I'm not speaking with, hyperbole. I really did feel that way. I mean, when I was in Slovenia, I felt free. If I had the money, I could drive around and I wasn't going to get in trouble. Nobody's going to bother me. I could walk around. I don't know if there's any crime in those places, but it didn't seem like there was a lot of crime. Walk through a major city in the United States now and tell me that, things are good. It's just a bizarre thing. And so like, as I said, when I first got back to the United States and on my first live stream, that trip to Europe changed me. And I don't know exactly, I won't be able to say exactly how, but I'm just trying to express to you, some of the things that are kind of rolling around in my head. So what's been your experience? Have you ever been to Europe? What's your experience on business in those places? I'd be interested here. Put in the chat, put in the comments after if you watch the video later. Let's get on to the next topic. Okay, here we go. So I needed to talk to a fellow that was in real estate. He owns his own brokerage, very similar to kind of my deal. And we were talking, and he said, his main thing, he likes to buy houses that are kind of expensive. I'd say starting in the 300s and try and flip them for, in the 5s or even higher. It's a strategy. And he said that recently he's had people calling him, asking him to bail them out of their project, out of projects. Like they're underwater, on house flipping. they just want to get out. And he's said, I can't take on any projects. I've got my own I got to worry about. And then he said, I've got a house coming up that I've fixed up that I was going to move into. And now with the floating construction rate, I don't think I can close on it. So he's like, I'm going to have to sell it. So he did a lot of commercial work, and he's been involved in a lot of commercial work. And he said, things are really not great. Things are going to really get horrid. And I told him what I'd tell anyone. I said, I've just been hoarding cash in my business. When you self-finance your business, when you feel like something's coming that's not positive, you hoard cash. By me hoarding cash, does that really hurt the economy? No, because I don't have that much cash. But if like 50 businesses my size start hoarding cash, I mean, if it's just, we were talking about trickle-down economics yesterday. So if I'm hoarding cash, okay, that means I'm not buying anything. I'm not making any improvements in my business. I haven't been able to. I'm going to get a drink here. I haven't been able to make the improvements in my business that I would like. I would like to buy a new computer. Well, a graphics card for what I was looking for was more than $1,000 when previously they'd been about $600. A new CPU was like $1,000, and I mean, just on down the list, everything was more expensive supposedly because of Bitcoin mining. Apparently, Bitcoin mining is not as lucrative now, and there's I don't know. All I know is I'm not spending the money right now to buy those things. I'm hoarding cash. So if I'm not spending stuff, if I'm not spending money, what does that mean? Well, inventory should rise. If businesses around me. And then when you look at housing, if you look at new construction, okay, new construction involves a significant amount of labor. All right. So if fewer houses are being built, if fewer houses are being, fewer contracts are being put down to purchase houses, there's two things that happen. One, you should see a decline in commodity prices, lumber, copper, stuff like that. But if there's not as much work, then people start not having, jobs, and that's not a good sign because there's no income there. And there's all these, like in every industry, there's all these little cracks that are forming. And it's like, I don't know who's going to lose their job. I don't know how low house prices are going to go. I don't know what's going to happen to the economy. I believe that people will paper over it. I mean, I can't believe if you're Joe Biden, okay, are you ever going to accept responsibility for a terrible economy? What president has ever accepted responsibility for a shitty economy? I mean, I hope that wasn't too political. If it was a Republican, I don't expect them to acknowledge that the economy's that they had something to do with a terrible economy. And we haven't seen it yet. See, that's the thing. Like housing, we're seeing, like the graphs are starting to go the other direction, but employment has been strong. Some would argue that the employment is not that strong. It's people getting second jobs because they can't afford to live on just one income. I mean, it's just dicey. And so when I was talking to him, I was just kind of agreeing with him. He said, I'm not taking on any new projects for sure, and I'm just going to sit and wait. And that reminds me a lot of 2007. Excuse me. I was in Detroit, Michigan. The auto manufacturing industry was that Kirk Kerkorian was planning to buy GM outright. Ford had just gotten a loan on its logo and pretty much just leveraged themselves up. And Chrysler was out. They were done. Chrysler, I forgot what they even call it. Is it Chrysler? I don't remember. But anyway, the big three were like the big two, and it's still the big two. Let's not kid ourselves. No, Chrysler's no longer an American-owned company. But I remember being up there, and people were afraid to buy things because they were afraid they were going to lose their jobs. And so it was very much behavioral. It wasn't like there was nothing like, wasn't really statistically showing that things were bad in the beginning. It was just more like, I don't know that I should spend this money for a new car. I don't know if I should spend this money for a new house, or I don't know if I should use this money for, a vacation. I think I'll just stay closer to home. So I do believe in the concept of behavioral economics. I do believe that it exists. And I think it's very powerful, and I think it explains a lot. So we'll find out. I mean, in housing, I just know that people like to say they bought a new house. Like, I bought a new house. Oh, that's a sign of positive. That's positive. Right now, mentally, it's like, oh, that was great. And I've always thought that it's a sign of progress. It's saying that you're willing to put down roots in a place and that you're comfortable there. But the economy turns and you buy a house and someone's, ridicules you. Why did you buy a house now? You're an idiot. It's a behavioral thing, a negative reinforcement. So it'll be interesting to see what happens. I don't know if I don't know if it makes a lot of sense to you, but I just wanted to put it out there. Now I have the next thing, and we're transitioning to the microphone. Now, I don't know what you think. I'm looking at myself, and I don't know if you can see, like, on the other side. So I got to do this. It's like my body posture is like kind of this. It's that way. It's that way. See, that's not good. I want to be kind of upright and speaking into the microphone, but seeing into the camera. And so it's something new. I'm going to have to leave the microphone this way. If you don't like it, let me know. Put it in the comments. Put it in the chat. And now, it wasn't that much to talk about. So now we're going to move to the final thing, and that's Amazon. Amazon the company. Amazon the company. When I've always said I'm not a shopper, I'm a buyer. Somebody says, you want to go shopping? No, I want to get whatever I want and get the hell out. I believe that Amazon was designed for me. I am their ultimate consumer. I don't want to search through the stores for something. If I know every single thing that's in a Home Depot and where it is, I don't feel like my life is better because of that. I also have always had a trouble figuring out, like, okay, well, where would I find this particular product? Like, what store would it be in? Before my wife, I'd never been to a dollar store. I didn't understand why I would want to pay $1 for something. It doesn't seem like it'd be of great quality. I love dollar stores now. But where do you, like, for instance, like, I want to buy an empty bottle so that I can, like a squirt bottle, like, so I can put, chemicals and, clean something. Well, where do I get that? I don't know. I have no idea. I want to get clothespins so that I can hang my clothes on a line. Where do I buy a clothesline and clothespins? I don't know these things. So what I would do is I'd go to Amazon, I'd type it in there, and it would be there. Oh, and there's like 40 of them, and they're all got ratings, and so you can read them. Makes things a lot easier. So, Amazon and I were best friends. And then it got to the point where, oh, you're shutting down small businesses and you're, killing communities, and people that work in Amazon warehouses can't use the bathroom. And I don't know I don't know if anything's true, but I don't think Amazon's as great as it used to be. Is that the way that life is? And what I mean by that is, as time goes on, is it even possible to enjoy anything? Amazon is one of those things now that's gotten me all kinds of messed up. And let me just explain to you why. I want the best audio I can have. And so on Monday, I believe I announced that I got a new microphone. I ordered one. I might have I didn't do it last week. I don't think. Anyway, the microphone was supposed to be here today. It's not here. Okay. I have some ancillary stuff that I bought to go with the microphone that was supposed to arrive 2 days after I got the microphone. It's not here. So what am I to make of this? So I knew there was something wrong when I ordered the product, because the only thing it shows on, it says your product has been shipped, and the only thing they show is that there's been a label created. And when you go to the business page of this reseller, all you see is complaints about how long it takes to get a product. And all you see is Amazon crossing them all out, saying that it's fulfilled by Amazon, so it's not the seller's fault. So it was supposed to be here today. The idea was, if it wasn't here by the end of the day today, I could get a refund. But I don't really want a refund. I just want the product. I just want the microphone. So they had this automated chat bot. And so I was like, hey, what's up with this? And the chat bot was of no help. None. So when am I going to get this microphone? It says that, again, I can get a refund after today, but I don't want a refund. I just want the microphone. And then the chatbot said the 29th. Check again on the 29th, and they'll look into it more. The chatbot will. I just want the microphone. I just want what I paid for. There are other things about Amazon that are not as fun as they used to be. For one, their packaging is terrible. They keep doing these envelopes. Okay. It used to be you get a box and you had the pack, and then in the box you had like these, packing bubbles. So everything came in. It was always real nice. There was nothing broken or anything. Even if there was something that happened to the box, everything inside would be fine. Now you get an envelope, a bag. And so what happens is the Amazon driver comes up and throws the bag on the front porch and then leaves. So your stuff is always dented, always looks like garbage. And it's like, well, we're saving the planet. And I'm like, I don't want to save the planet. I just want my stuff. I'm going to be dead. You're not saving the planet. This is just stupid. So as I promised, I'm going to have a new microphone. I don't know when it's coming. I've ordered it. God only knows at this point. It's going to be in the new, I put the microphone in the new position today, just so you guys can get used to it. Oh, it's hard on the neck. See, like if I do this, it hurts. All right. Those were the things that I had. Let's get into our Google Trends article for today. I thought this was fascinating, and I thought we should go over it. So here we go. Wish me luck. I'm flipping through the. Okay, here we go. It says, first of all, the title is confusing to me. It says Jerry Lee Lewis alive after false death report, which to me reads like he was dead. No, I mean, like it reads to me he was dead. And then because of the false death report, he became alive. Some people have very bad thoughts on Jerry Lee Lewis. I don't know if they're founded or not. I don't profess to know. If you don't know who Jerry Lee Lewis is, you probably aren't alone. Before my time. It says a false report of Jerry Lee Lewis's death shook the internet. Shook the internet. On October 26th, today's the 26th, was your internet shaking? Read on to find out how the Great Balls of Fire singer, who's very much alive, is actually doing. It's always sad when they have like these, false death reports. We go over a lot of death related things on this channel. I don't know why. I did work at a funeral home for a number of years, like, just helping people get in and out of their cars. But, there's that line in Monty Python and I think it's The Life of Brian. Yeah. It's Bring Out Your Dead. You remember that? I'll have to put that as a thing. I really liked that scene. But I'm not dead. I feel fine. It says there's a whole lot of head shaking going on after it was falsely reported that Jerry Lee Lewis had died. I don't know that there was. Like, again, it's 9:30 on I don't even know what is on Wednesday night. I just, my internet was fine today. It wasn't shaking, and no head shaking on my part about Jerry Lee Lewis. It says on October 26th, the internet was whipped up in a frenzy after TMZ published an article purporting the death of the music legend, but as it turned out, it was all a hoax. On who? Jerry Lee Lewis or the rest of the public? He's alive. A spokesperson for Lewis's management company told NBC News in response to the bogus report. TMZ reported erroneously off a bullshit anonymous tip. Since the online gaffe, TMZ deleted its original report and published a retraction. Jerry Lee Lewis is not dead, as we previously reported. The outlet's new article read, earlier today, we were told by someone claiming to be Lewis's rep that he had passed. That turned out not to be the case. TMZ regrets the error. Well, what about the error do you regret? Getting a story wrong? Or that Jerry Lewis isn't dead? Which is, I just don't know. I mean, what is the error? That they reported that he had passed and that he had not. It would not be an error if he did pass and they reported it. It's kind of weird. It says the correction comes days after an update posted to Lewis's Instagram. Jerry Lee Lewis has an Instagram account. Said that the musician was too ill with the flu to attend celebrations of his recent induction into the Country Music Hall of Fame. Instead, according to the post, Lewis chose close friend Chris Stapleton to accept the honor on his behalf. Do you think that Jerry Lee Lewis, sick with the flu, reported dead falsely by TMZ? Do you think he's on Instagram right now, like just, liking pictures, loving pictures, making reels, doing stories? It's not that he probably can't. It's that he probably wouldn't. It is with heartfelt sadness and disappointment that I write you today from my sick bed, rather than to be able to share my thoughts in person, Lewis wrote in an open letter on October 19th. My sincerest apologies to all of you for missing this fine event, but I hope to see you all soon. I don't think I would put the but in there. I would say my sincerest apologies for you missing this fine event, I hope to see you all soon. I mean, he's written songs. I've not. Apparently wrote Great Balls of Fire. Goodness gracious, Great Balls of Fire. Reflecting on his decades-long career, the Great Balls of Fire singer continued, I'm honored to be going into that Hall of Fame rotunda with some of my heroes, Hank Williams Sr., Jimmy Rogers, and the like, not to mention so many amazing friends who have been so good to me through the years. Thank you all for your support and love for electing me in the Country Music Hall of Fame. And most of all, thanks to God for allowing me to experience this honor while I'm still here. Jerry Lee Lewis alive after false death report. It just doesn't seem like the right headline. All right. Here we go. We're on Deerwood Realty's page. I'm not going to go from the top to the bottom and scroll. You know that if you're looking for houses in St. Louis, you should probably check out the website, but you probably won't. You're probably on Zillow. That's okay. It's a free country. Not as free as other countries, the way it seems. Thirty-year fixed 707 changed from 7.15 yesterday. I believe that's 8 basis points. Oh, look, got it there for me. Yeah, 5.5 would be good. 5.5 would be real good. We're not there. Moving on. I don't know. Yeah. Let's get into the Twitter sphere tonight. Let me get to the right page here because I've missed it. This is from John C. Taylor. It says, I'm listening again in more detail, and some of the stuff you guys were talking about clicked. In 2008, the big complaint was about subprime borrowers who could never afford it. I remember that. The reason why the narrative is that the housing crisis was caused by lenders giving out bad loans. In 2023, it'll be about inflated FICO scores. Subprime borrowers were given prime loans on bad data. Even worse, as Jack pointed out, people learned from 2008 that they could just stop paying. In 2008, 2009, there were powerful narratives about the morality behind paying these loans no matter what. Now more people see banks as the enemy, and they'll just feel ripped off. So yeah, I remember that. So it was, you took out a loan, and so you should pay it, even if it destroys your family. It's your fault. That was pretty demonic, especially when large corporations were making a killing. Okay. Let's move on. Christoph Barad, if that's how you say his name. Great. If it's not, I thought I did a pretty nice job at it. Inflation, the average American would have to have put in more than 64 hours work in September to pay the typical monthly rent, according to an analysis by Zillow. That's just a hair below the August level, which was the highest data going back to 2015. That's where I see the problem in the economy. Like, let's look at it this way. Let's say you make $80,000 a year and you want to buy a pickup truck, and it's $85,000 just for the pickup truck. Now that's kind of ridiculous. Yet here we are. Jeep put out its Grand Wagoneer. It's over $100,000. Understand you can buy a decent condo in St. Louis for probably like $150,000. Things are just too expensive relative to your income. Your income has to grow to be able to afford these things. It's not growing. Moving on, the Grim Reaper appears twice I just wanted to point this out. Have you seen this Spirit Halloween meme? This one's hurtful. It says real estate agent includes 8-year bottle service experience, breast augmentation, high school diploma, SUV, and Kohl's rewards. It was hurtful because I can't do breast augmentation, or shouldn't. I've never been to a place that had bottle service. I have 2 graduate degrees. I don't drive an SUV. And I don't have Kohl's rewards. So let me just put this out there. While real estate is difficult for some, for many, I'd say if 80%, it's an 80-20 distribution for sure. 80% will quit without any success whatsoever. To be a good real estate agent, you have to be like people. You have to have people want to be around you and want to remember you. This is one of the reasons why I'm not very good at it. So, you don't have to have a college degree. You don't have to you have to treat your clients right. You have to hope they'll refer you, and you can do pretty well. So, Green Reaper again. Buying homes out from under families and artificially inflating prices was bad karma and bad business. Hopefully Opendoor, Zillow, and Redfin all go out of business. Let me just say this. For Zillow, I have no sympathy for Zillow. I feel like they kind of crossed real estate agents a long time ago, and I just don't have any interest in forgiving them. Opendoor, I've always seen for what it is. It's a glorified house flipper. It's no different than Carvana is in the auto space. And then as far as Redfin's concerned, always been a little bit curious. They don't pay a commission; they pay salaries. They've not made money in 26 of 27 years. How does a business continue down that path? Is this going to be the year they make money? I don't know. No offense to, I don't wish. What would I say? If you're a group of stockholders or shareholders and you're like a multinational corporation and you're owning the stock of this company, I don't really care if something happens to you, to be honest. I mean, I just don't. But if it was like an original founding person, then I would feel a little bit of sympathy, but I don't feel any sympathy for these companies because I do believe they were buying homes from out from under families, and I do believe they were artificially inflating prices. Chris Porter. Do you know who Chris Porter is? No, I don't. What does this little thing say? It says exploring how demographics shape the economy. That seems pretty interesting. It says signs are pointing to a slowdown in U.S. household formation. But how could it not slow after the surge during the last several years? While sources vary on the magnitude of that surge, the right pieces were in place for that to happen despite a global pandemic. Pent-up demand among a large young adult population, higher savings as a result of government stimulus, income growth accelerated by labor shortages, booming stock market, more emphasis placed on the importance of the home. A desire for more space, freedom to relocate due to work from anywhere policies, a record low mortgage rates, and moratoriums on foreclosures and evictions. A number of these trends are now reversing or decelerating. What else to add to this list? I didn't see a lot of people. I mean, there was only 6 retweets and 23 likes. I pretty much laid it out the way I'd lay it out, though. I don't know that I would agree. More emphasis placed on the importance of the home. Income growth accelerated by labor shortages. It is odd, the labor shortage situation. Like in my part of St. Louis, it's hard to find bus drivers. school bus drivers. I was talking to a superintendent friend of mine, and he said that one of the districts was had 30% of their positions were unfilled for their whole district. I just don't know. I don't know what to think about the labor shortages. I really thought, just randomly on a Wednesday night, I really thought that there was this generation that had been through the housing crisis in 2007, 2008, and that they would be not interested in buying homes. They would have seen what I saw, which was just greed from Wall Street taking away from Main Street. So if you were born in you'd have to be about 10 years old. So you'd have been born in 1997, 1998. So you'd be about 10 years old when the crisis happened. And then this is 2022. Doesn't seem like the kids really were affected like I thought they would be. Certainly not enough to change behavior. Let's get into some articles. I got two articles tonight, and then we're going to head on out. Not been real active in the chat tonight. Not been real active on myself. I'm trying to stay awake. Never a good sign. This is from Shift Gold Now. Look, are they going to be biased towards gold? Yes. But I thought this article was interesting. I thought we should go through it. It says, this looks a lot like the .com bust with one big difference: inflation. I've said inflation is the most evil thing you can have. This was written on September 28th. Why are you reading something from a month ago, John? Well, I thought it was interesting enough, and so let's continue. It says, this is starting to look a lot like the popping of the .com bubble with one big difference: inflation. Beginning in mid-June, we saw a significant bear market rally in stocks. But the recent declines have wiped out those gains and more. For instance, the Dow jumped 14% during the 2-month rally. By the close on Friday, September 23rd, it was once again down 20% from its all-time high. That same day, the NASDAQ closed just 2% off its June low after a 23% rally. As Wall Street points out, the collapse of this bear market rally was predicated on the fantasy of a Federal Reserve pivot. The bear market rally happened because markets, meaning folks and algos playing in them, had this fabulous reaction to the Fed's aggressive rate hike scenario. They've been fantasizing about a Fed pivot and about rate cuts, and some even about the QE all over again. Asset prices began to jump and yields began to fall. That's the way I remember it. In May, things weren't looking very good for the housing market as far as in the future. Then we had this belief that the Fed was going to recognize that they're tightening too much and that they would slow down. Since then, what have we had? 375 basis point hikes. Wall Street points out that this bear market rally is reminiscent of the dot-com era. During the similar 2-month rally from May 27th to July 17th, 2000, the NASDAQ jumped by 33% without ever getting back to its old high. Ultimately, the NASDAQ collapsed by 78%. Not good. The bear market rally in the summer of 2000 suckered a lot of people back into the market thinking that stocks would be going to the moon again, and they got crushed. I'm not a big stock investor. I made efforts as a young man in my 20s. I was going to make all this money trading stocks and options. And I got my hat handed to me a number of times before I was like, look, this game isn't for you. Basically, if I'm going to put money in the stock market, you should be taking your money out of the market, because it seems like no matter which side I play on, it's the opposite of the right side. The difference between then and now is that we have a CPI of over 8%. The Fed has inflated an everything bubble Since 2008, the central bank has pumped over $8 trillion in the economy. It got away with this inflation for a long time because most of that money wasn't getting to consumers. Instead, we saw asset prices spike, particularly the stock market and real estate. So did you see wage gains? Were you getting raises at work that were commensurate with the cost of living increases? I mean, what were you seeing? The Fed tried to normalize rates in 2018, and the air started coming out of those bubbles. It had already pivoted back to rate cuts in QE long before COVID. In a sense, the pandemic saved the Fed's bacon. It gave the central bank an excuse to pump trillions of dollars in new liquidity in the economy and reinflate the bubbles. But the extent of the quantitative easing and the fact that the government handed out trillions to consumers changed the dynamic. Suddenly, inflation started showing up in the CPI. Yes, inflation started showing up, like a lot of inflation. The Fed denied it for a month, calling it transitory. That was stupid. I was really upset with that. Not good. But once it became impossible to deny, they launched its inflation fight. Particularly, the markets tanked until they decided the Fed was about finished tightening. Now reality has set in again, and we're back into the bear market. These artificially inflated markets cannot even maintain their level amid rate hikes in QT, even little bitty rate hikes, just 4 in a year. And small amounts of QT caused markets to tank, just like interest rate repression. And QE had caused them to soar. It was becoming clear to everyone QT was having the opposite effect of QE, quantitative easing, quantitative tightening. The question remains, what will the Fed do? Will it hold the course, or will it do what it's done in the past, pivot back to inflationary, loose monetary policy to rescue the economy as it did after the dot-com bust, setting up the 2008 financial crisis? My own belief is that they will not hold the course. They will wait for a crisis, and then they will go back to their easy monetary policy. That's what I think is going to happen. The question remains, what will the Fed do? Oh, no, we already did that. Maybe we didn't. I don't know. Wolf Street argues that there will be no Fed pivot. He thinks the central bankers will be willing to tank the economy and get inflation back to 2%, just as Jerome Powell promises. I think that's true. I don't know. There have been lots of people who said the Fed will keep doing QT until something breaks. Last time it did QT until the repo market broke. That was when the bank stopped lending to the repo market, which then blew out, which caused the Fed to bail it out in September 2019. But this time, the biggest thing the Fed is in charge of is already broken. Price stability. Inflation is the worst it has been in 40 years. And the Fed is tightening in order to fix this huge thing that has broken, to bring this inflation back under control and down to 2%. This could be a long and tough slug, and other things that might break along the way are by comparison just to minor inconveniences. And says, this is where I part with Wolf Street's analysis. Now, that's what I think everything should be. One person putting out their thoughts and then someone else, what do they think? I think the things that will break will be far more and minor inconveniences. Just consider the impact of the national debt. When you run the numbers, it becomes clear the U.S. government can't operate in a high interest rate environment, and the U.S. government isn't alone under a big pile of debt. Corporations are over leveraged, and consumer debt is at record levels. That's the argument that I've heard often, is that with high inflation, you have to pay so much in debt service that you're really in trouble. So far, the Fed has stayed resolute to follow through with its inflation flight. Peter Schiff said that the Fed still thinks it can do the impossible and it will ultimately pivot, but not until it can no longer deny the impacts of its tighter monetary policy. I think when Powell is really confronted with how ugly this is going to be, then we're finally going to get it past that pivot. But this is a giant game of chicken, and I think Powell is going to keep up his pretense as long as he possibly can. It's kind of weird to me, like, why are we even pontificating on what the Fed's going to do? Like, why are we giving the Fed that much power? The mainstream has conceded a recession looms, although most people say it will be short and shallow. But as Peter Schiff said, the bust needs to be proportional to the boom. We've never had a boom this big. We've never had interest rates this low for this long. We've never had an economy more screwed up than the one we have right now. We've never had bigger asset bubbles, bigger debt bubbles, more misallocations of capital and resources. So we have more mistakes that we need to fix now than ever before. So how are we going to do that with a short, shallow recession? We're not. It's going to be a massive recession. And again, the Fed has no stomach for that. And that's why the Fed is going to pivot. Alan Greenspan was able to engineer a recovery after the dot-com bust with some rate cuts. Ben Bernanke was able to engineer recovery after 2008 with rate cuts in QE. And by recovery, I mean reinflate the bubbles, but they didn't have to contend with 8.3% CPI. Jerome Powell does, and that changes everything. You know, why do I spend so much time, looking into the economy? Well, I want to know where I should be pricing the houses I get for sale. I want to know where we should be asking, what numbers we should be asking for when we make a purchase or when we offer to make a purchase on a property. That's why I want to know. Does this stuff all fit in with one another? Absolutely. Housing is a significant part of the economy. If it goes south, it's not good. Okay. I said I was going to read 2 articles tonight. I'm not going to read 2 articles tonight. I'm exhausted. I don't know if you can tell, but I'm ready to go to sleep. I've had enough. I have a lot to do tomorrow. Will I stream tomorrow night? Yes. Yes. What time? Not sure. I have to be at a video shoot for one of my new listings. I have to eat dinner. So, was tonight the best live stream we've ever done? No. I was a little thrown off by the microphone. I'm still thrown off by the microphone because, to talk in the microphone and looking this way, that's not a good image on the camera. So if I turn like this, that's a pretty good image on the camera. But then when I'm reading, it looks like I'm crooked. So I'm going to work on that. Wish me luck. Hope the audio is decent tonight. Hope I get my microphone soon. With that, I'm going to head on out. Hey, have a great night. If you're watching this tomorrow, hope the day goes well for you. I'm exhausted. I will see you tomorrow. I would say same time, same channel, but I don't know. Be the same channel. Probably around the same time. Hopefully a little earlier though, because I'm hurting. Good night.